The Sketch-O-Matic Show.
Well, it appears that the Sketch-O Show is back in full effect. This time, I got a full house, ladies and gentlemen, good folks. I'm very excited to have this guest returning. It's been about a year or so since she was last here. This is a big deal for me because she is the official DJ for the LA Chargers, a classical professional violinist, singer, music producer. I mean, the list goes on, and she's a dog mom.
Oh my God.
To the little Mozart, who's also in the building today. And she brought a guest with her who we're going to talk to as well. I mean, it's a jam-packed show.
Wow.
I'm so glad you could find me on the Spotify or YouTube or Apple Podcast, wherever you found me. Thank you so much. Make sure you hit the follow button. I'm trying to get my follows up to something more respectable. Okay. The Sketch-O Show podcast, without further ado, would like to welcome back Esther, Anaya, and Thomas Gold for the first time.
Oh my God.
Also, Benjamin Wolf. Ben Wolf in the house, loving husband and manager extraordinaire. Okay, Esther Anaya. I mean, I'm over here sweating. I'm like shot out of a cannon right now. I feel like I'm the one who drank the Celsius. Instead, Ben Wolf drank it. How you doing, Esther? It's so great to see you again. It's such a pleasure to have you back on the show.
It is my pleasure to be here. I'm so excited to see you again. It's been way too long, so I had to make my way back here.
Yeah, Ben hit me up, and I was excited because this time I didn't have to ask you guys. I got asked, which is, I'm going to say this right now, is a Sketch-O Show podcast exclusive. I'm usually hounding my guests, trying to get them. Can you do it? Can you do it? What about next week? Next week? How about the week next month? Next year? But this time, Ben was like, hey, can we come back on the pod? I was like, bro, are you serious? I'm not getting pranked. And this is a real thing, and now you're here. So it's such a pleasure. And Thomas Gold in the house. Thomas, how are you? First time on the Sketch-O Show podcast. I know you have no idea who I am, but we're going to get to know each other over the course of this hour and a half.
Definitely.
2 hours. All right, so you are hooked up. Thomas Gold is also a music producer, DJ as well. What other talents do you have that you could share with us, Thomas Gold?
Yeah, actually, I'm a producer. I've been in the business for quite a long time, and I'm a DJ traveling the world. And I just came here to LA to launch and kick off a very special project we're going to talk about now.
Yeah, man. Okay, so where do we begin, Esther Anaya?
Yes.
What's this all about? What's this new collaboration all about, Esther?
Well, I got to tell you a story before everything.
Go ahead.
Let's go back a couple of years ago, like about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, everybody knows I've been playing the violin for a long time. And I actually get a show. And in this show, the people running the show, they go, Esther, we want you to play the violin to this song called Sing to Me. And I was like, wow, okay, it's a house song. So this is like before I started playing violin on house music.
Uh-huh.
And they played the song. I had not rehearsed the song at all. And they started playing it. And when I was playing the violin, it was like magical because I was not even thinking what I was playing. Like my fingers were just running through and it just sounded so beautiful. So at the end, I was like, who produced this song? Because whoever produced this song, it just sounded so amazing with my violin, and I'm inspired to do house music on violin. Mm-hmm. I found Thomas Gold. He made this song. Has millions of streams on Spotify.
Really?
Yes. And I started following Thomas, and now fast forward 10 years later, right? We are in Ultra Miami Music Week, and Thomas has a show. I hit him up on Instagram. I'm like, I got to meet you. Hey, I'm going to come to your show. I show up in the show. I share the story to Thomas, and I tell him, you know what? You're one of my inspirations. I play your song, Sing to Me, and I just love the way how you produce, and I'm a fan. And he goes to me, well, let's make magic together.
So let me ask you something. You guys didn't previously, over 10 years ago, you said you met over social media. That's how it all came together. Is that correct, Thomas?
Yeah, absolutely.
And when someone as lovely and as effervescent as Esther Anaya is, reaches out of the cold blue on social media, what's your reaction like, Thomas Gold?
I was like, wow, who is this?
Right.
And it's really nice. She sent me a DM, and she was asking if we could kind of like meet up.
Uh-huh.
And of course, I looked at her profile and was like very impressed.
Right. Yeah. Same.
But I didn't know what was coming, so she might just want to have attended the shows, my show. And so I was like, okay, yes, let's meet up. And then we met there and we had a long discussion, long talk. We had a good time actually. And she told me the story. She shared the story about Sing to Me. And I was so impressed and honored. And because someone with her talent playing my song live, performing it on the violin.
Right.
I think this is something, this is kind of an honor. And so we got into talks about like, what could we do together? Can we start something that maybe merges our like, I don't know, like
Talent.
talents
unique
and
styles
ideas
together.
Exactly,
Right,
because you are so unique, and I have this idea of like performing stuff live on stage as well, but I didn't want to do it by myself. And Esther came into right at the right moment.
Right.
So
the stars aligned. Let me ask you,
Exactly.
Thomas Gold, do you play an instrument such as how Esther plays the violin? Are you musically inclined in any kind of instruments?
I mean, I play piano and
Ooh.
electronic organ. That's what I
Right.
learned when I started playing keyboards when I was 7.
So
And I kept doing this, but I never performed this live. I used to have a drum.
drum machine?
No, a marching
Oh, an actual drum.
marching band
Right.
on stage, to bring them on stage with me.
Wow.
We did a couple of shows in Vegas, in New York, a real drum line with 9 people.
Like a full marching band. I love marching
Exactly.
band. There's something so dun, 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 dun. You know what I mean? It's very
Yeah,
like
yeah.
parade. It's like,
Exactly.
I love a parade. Yeah. I know what you're talking
Exactly. And that was such a good experience, but it was too complicated, too complex. We're
Right.
hosting or dealing with 10 people and all the equipment.
Yeah.
So, but I kept dreaming about like doing something with drums on stage. So that's what we're doing actually right now.
Wow.
Me on the drums, Esther on the violin, both DJing, singing, whatever, talking to people. And I play
Wow.
keyboards as well on stage. So that's kind of like in a nutshell, the project we're about to launch.
It's very exciting,
We're very
Esther. I'm
excited.
very proud of you. I mean, you've come such a long way, and you're still relatively very young. And I know that you two collabed or met up about over a decade ago, and this is over a decade, 11 years ago. You weren't. I'm not saying that you weren't on a roll like you are now, but it seems like you're really skyrocketing right now. I mean, since I had you on the pod, since the LA Chargers brought you on as their official DJ, since the Cadillac commercial I helped you voice and produce, it's
That's right.
wild to see the evolution of Esther Anaya just really unfold in such a short amount of time. What's it like? What's it been like? Tell us.
You know what? I believe that every evolution requires of always renovating and like finding ways of doing partnerships. And that is the reason why I feel that I was at a point in my life where I wanted to take it to the next level. And having things evolve and take it to the next level require of strategic partnerships and growing with a great team. And that's why I'm super excited, because now I know people know me as the things that you have already mentioned.
Right.
But get ready, because you guys are going to see something next level with Thomas and I. We're really excited about bringing the live aspect to the EDM world and putting together our expertise of many, many, many years that we have been separated, but we have created this whole career on our own, and now putting it all together and making music that people are going to love, and performing live our instruments that we studied for many years individually. It's gonna be magic. I'm just so excited to release our music and our songs. We have an album coming out.
Can we hit
Like
any of those? Go ahead.
A full many songs that we
Yeah.
have been creating. So this is gonna be great.
And I just want to add that for the shows, it's not only about us performing. It's always also about how we create the music, because we're working on tracks now. We're reworking my tracks to put her violin on top of that. We're recreating classic and legendary orchestral tracks and movie soundtracks as a part of the show. So we want to present something musically unique as well, and we perform it live.
Can we hit any of those songs? Just a couple of snippets of something that you want the podcast, everybody
yeah.
listening to check out, just so that they know what they're listening to.
You know what? We will send you, it's not out yet, but we will send you some of the stuff, like The Godfather. We're doing a techno version of The Godfather.
You mean
violin,
the Godfather
theme.
waltz?
The theme.
That?
Yes,
No.
the theme. Yes, it's epic.
You know what? I'm just going to say this. Since I'm a radio producer, imaging, I'm also a DJ as well. I don't DJ anymore, but, I apply all my DJ ability and mixing transitions to producing now, right? Long time ago, we're talking eons ago, when you were probably just a little girl, okay? I did a remix of the Godfather Waltz myself and I did it on a very old editing system. Serato had just been invented, okay? There was no Ableton yet. There was none of that. I took Godfather Waltz and I put it over Them White Tees, which is like a hip hop group. I don't think they're together anymore, but it's like real like down south kind of hip hop, right? Mm-hmm. And then I also mixed Queen, We Will Rock You to the beat. I'm gonna play a clip of it right now, right here. It's a short little piece, but it was just meant because I made it because I was so inspired by Godfather. I hadn't seen Godfather until I was like in my 20s. I know everybody was like, hey, you haven't seen Godfather? And then I finally watched it, and that theme it haunted me. It stuck with me. I had to make something. So I'm excited to hear what you put together with the Godfather Waltz.
Oh, yeah.
Thomas Gold, real quick, back to you just before I forget, before we move on here. I detect a very nice accent coming from you, and I'm not sure what accent it is. Can you fill us in, enlighten us on where you originate from, sir?
Yeah, I'm from Germany. I'm German, and I'm based in Berlin. I grew up in the southern part of Germany, like Munich area, but we moved to Berlin 15 years ago.
See, I was going to say Netherlands. I don't know. I had a feeling with somewhere.
Well, they have a different accent. I guess.
A little bit of different. I see, but I'm not that. I'm not worldly enough. I don't travel enough. I hardly ever leave Burbank. So you coming to me is like bringing Colombia to me, bringing Germany to me. Ben, where are you from?
California.
That's right. And you bringing the West Coast all up in here. And I'm from Mexico City, so it's just like a big multicultural melting pot going on in this pod right now. Okay, so listen, Esther Anaya, since I saw you last, a lot of life has happened. There's a lot of shit going on in the country. You've traveled all over the world. I've been keeping up with you on your social media posts and whatnot with Mr. Wolf over here. Where did you travel to last? You just got in from out of the country. Where did you go to last?
So what? Oh my God, I lose track of where I go because it's so like every weekend. Yeah. We were actually, was it Bahamas? We were at Exumas actually. I went to perform. Wow. It was the Renaissance Gala, and it was amazing because it was a lot of different artists who came to the island, and we all performed for the gala, and we all networked with each other. And funny enough that we just came back from a session with one of the singers that I met there. Wow. We're doing a collab song, Thomas Gold. His name is Will Gittens, and myself. So it's super exciting because that trip was magical and, brought us up to making a song.
How is the Bahamas right now? Is it hotter than fish grease, humid? What's the weather like over there?
It's amazing. The water, it's the only water I could jump into because I could see what's going on down there, honey. I'm scared of the sea.
No floating syringes or used diapers. I hear you, man. Okay, so look, I was saying off pod when we were walking up to the station, to the studio here, I was having a conversation with ChatGPT, and all I wrote in was, what are some good questions and topics to ask Esther Anaya on my podcast? This is what she wrote. I'm going to let you hear in her voice, which is the voice Juniper on ChatGPT, okay? This is actually pretty cool. Check this out.
When interviewing Esther Anaya, a violinist and music producer, you might want to ask questions that cover her journey, creative process, and industry insights. Early life and career. Creative process. Can you walk us through your creative process when producing or composing music? How do you balance classical violin with more contemporary styles in your work? What role does collaboration play in your music? And how do you choose your collaborators?
Okay, I'm going to stop right there because that last question and the last two questions I thought were really good.
Yes.
I even was like, damn, ChatGPT.
What's so funny? I recognize the beginning of those questions. I'm like, a lot of my interviewers have been using
Yeah. And in fact, we already covered the, your classical training and who inspired you. We covered that on the last podcast episode. And for those who haven't heard that, we'll just roll back to Esther Anaya when she was last on. I don't remember what episode it was, to be honest. Let me just consult the old Spotify app before we move on to see which episode you were on last, because I'm just curious.
Yeah, it was like a year ago.
It was a while. It was a while ago. Let's see here. Oh, it's going to make me log in. One sec. Oh, okay. You were on episode 27.
Oh.
This is episode 61. I've been doing this for just, I think, a little over 2 years now, since the end of 2022. And I mean, you are by far, you as well, Mr. Gold. You guys are like some of the biggest guests I've had on this podcast, because I usually just interview my co-workers and my peers who are in radio and also in production, some behind the scenes. So to have you back on the pod, not just once, but 2 times, and now with a guest, is really an honor for me personally. So I want to thank you for doing that. And Ben, thank you for setting this up again.
No, thank you. I thought the best person to have our first interview will be you. I love the way how you just bring things to life and you just ask the really cool questions and you make me have fun. So I was like, we need to come back.
Thank you so much. That means a whole lot to me. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's get into some of these questions of the creative process, which I really liked, which is, how do you balance classical violin with more contemporary styles in your work of today, such as EDM?
So I feel that classical music is always the base of everything you do. It's like the base of building a house. So with the classical skills, it gives you what you need to improvise and take your skills to the next level. And you let creativity take over. That is where you just use what you know technically on the music, on the violin, and then you just let your mind take you to the next level. And that's how I create into the contemporary music. So you could hear my classical training into whatever I play. Any type of music, hip hop, EDM, country, whatever, you will know, because that's kind of like the trademark behind it.
I kind of wish you would have brought your violin, because I was like, man, I would love to hear her just rip it live on the pod. You know what I mean?
My God. Well, we got to do a podcast.
A third one.
And do like music hearing type of thing.
It's all good, because I'll play clips of you, from YouTube and stuff, which I've did before. But, just to hear something like a freestyle violin riff, I should say, not rip.
Yeah.
But what is it called when you're just freestyling, jamming on the violin? Is there a specific term for that? Just jamming?
Freestyling. Yeah, you just said it.
Okay. Now, let's move on to the collaboration side. What role does collaboration play in your music, Esther? And how do you choose your collaboration like Thomas Gold? What was the initial interesting, unique thing that Thomas presented as opposed to other artists that you decided to go with?
Well, I feel like, his personality, it's amazing. It also depends, like, after, being an inspiration and being such a great DJ, producer, and artist himself, I feel like, his personality is a great person inside out. And I just, we had chemistry, we get along, because some people have this ego, like, oh, I've done so many things. I've performed all over the world and I've done X, Y, and Z. And, ego gets in the middle, but he's a very humble person. And I was like, you know what? We could definitely do great things together. And it's very easy to work with, because he takes in on my inputs and vice versa. And it just makes it very enjoyable.
Right. It's organic. It flows, right? You don't have to try.
Exactly.
Right? And Thomas, how is it working with Esther Anaya after all this time? Has she taken you to an LA Chargers game yet?
Not yet.
You gotta come.
I think I want to go with you, because I have never been to SoFi Stadium yet, and I would love to go, but I don't know who I can tag along with. I feel like I don't want to bother people, and I can't afford going on my own.
No, well, come with us. Choose one of the next games, and you'll be our guest.
Yeah?
You'll be our guest, yeah.
All right, I got it here on recording, so there's the proof right here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Well, thank you so much, Esther.
Can I just get back to the other point you just mentioned?
Sure.
Because of I want to add to that for the collaboration thing. For me, in my career, it has always been important that there is chemistry between people. That's what Esther just mentioned, and because of course we're doing business together and we have a goal and we have a vision, but that vision is very emotional, and music is so emotional. And for me, throughout my career, it was always about having a good feeling when you do things. You can get things done with people on a business level, but it's even better if you get it done on a very personal level, and when you understand each other, and when you have a lot of respect, which I have for Esther. Was the first thing for me to see wow, I respect this. And then we got along pretty well. And also these guys, Ben and Esther, are amazing people.
Yeah.
And I love to work with them. And even though we haven't met apart after Miami, which was back in March, we haven't met in person. This is the first time we meet again. So we have been on a weekly call to discuss things, come up with ideas, work on the production, give us feedback. And this has been a very fruitful and successful process, and it was very inspiring. I could learn a lot from how, for example, Esther puts together her set, how she sees the music. And it's really going well. And it's all about the chemistry and how much fun we have doing these things. And that's very important. I just wanted to add that.
When people can collab like that, it just flows. It doesn't just always come out. Sometimes you got to try and it doesn't sound right, or somebody's drinking too much, or the other person. Do you guys treat it like a job? Do you have set hours you collab with each other, at least in studio? Do you meet up let's say 10 a.m. and work till 5 p.m.? Or how does that work?
So because we are remote, Thomas lives in Berlin and I'm here in LA. We do have our weekly calls and we delegate each other. So we have a week to get done what we need to get done. Right. And then, for example, I get my vocals done here in LA, my violin is done here in LA. He does the production side in Berlin, and then he puts it together. Then we review it, we get notes, and we go back and forth until we make it sound the way we want it to sound, and we both are happy with it.
And we're on WhatsApp constantly.
Okay.
Oh yeah, every day we talk.
Are you mixing and producing the music? I know you work on editing and producing as well, Esther. Obviously you do as well. How does it work remotely? Who does what?
Thomas does the editing, and Thomas does more and more of the production side, and I'm creating more of the top lines when it's the writing and the violins, and then we both together come up with ideas for our originals. Yeah.
But today we went to the studio together for the first time, and that was a very creative process of the whole group together with the writer, and. You want to explain the process?
Yeah, so today, for example, we got together, the three of us, we just chose a chord progression that we wanted the song to sound like. And we also found a reference of a track that is very successful that we all love and feel identified with. So after we do that, we have a direction of how we want it to sound. We grab our chord progression, and Thomas sits down and starts creating beats in the feel of how the song is going to be as an instrumental. Meanwhile, on the other side is Will and I creating the top line and the idea of what the song is going to talk about and what is going to be the lyrics, what do we want to portray when he's singing. And we wrote the song and then showed it to Thomas, and Thomas gives us feedback. It's like, I think it could be, it would sound better like this, or maybe try this. Oh yeah, I like these words. Maybe try to find a different word. So, and then we get it to the perfect balance that we cut the demo.
Damn, that's dope. It's so wild how you guys, when you said, meanwhile, Ben and I are over here, and I'm thinking you're on the other side of the planet and he's on the other side of the planet. Technology is, in this aspect, this is what is so amazing about technology, is that that's possible. You found him on social media, then you're connecting on WhatsApp, and you're mixing and producing, sending tracks to each other and stems to each other, as we say in the production world. Let me ask you this, Thomas Gold. In Germany, in Berlin, who are some of your inspirations or your artists that you listen to on a regular basis that give you that motivation to want to be as good as they are?
I mean, I've had my inspirations back in the years. I had a lot of house DJs like Roger Sanchez, Eric Murillo. And I got, actually Axwell took me under his wings production-wise, and he put me on his label with Sing To Me, for example. And I was at with the same management he was, the same booking agency, 10 years ago. So that was kind of kickstarting my career also here in the US. And I did a remix for Adele for Set Fire to the Rain. So
I hit a clip of that real quick. I got to hit a clip of that. keep going.
And but nowadays, I don't have that one inspiration, and especially not in Berlin. Berlin is very techno driven, very undergroundy, and the music I make is different. I work in different genres. It's more like not that undergroundy. I do tech house and techno music, but more on a commercial level.
Gotcha.
But I still listen to a lot of things, and my inspirations change. Like it can be this track or this artist or this kind of like sound someone produces. So I'm taking my inspiration from everywhere, and sometimes it just hits me at some point. I'm not like listening to music all the time because I'm surrounded by music anyway.
Right.
And I just pick like a couple of tracks which I think are really cool, which I really like, and then I take my ideas from them and I try to work them into my own thing. That's how I actually built my sound as well.
Okay, let me ask you this. I wrote down some of my own personal notes here that I wanted to talk about that are kind of not music related. This is just a hang. It's an interview, but it's also just a conversation.
Yeah.
That's what a podcast is, right? Coming up soon, Esther Anaya. I'm just curious, like with Halloween and the holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and you being Colombian, what goes on in the holiday seasons in Colombia?
Oh my God. You know what? I grew up not being too big on Halloween. I'd never really celebrated Halloween.
Do they have that over in Colombia?
They do, but I grew up and I am Christian, so we don't really celebrate Halloween. And I'm not a fan either.
Really?
But yeah, no. Only for work. And I get, my shows on
yeah.
Halloween, I'll be performing.
Do you dress up?
No, I'm already dressed up.
You are. You're dressed up as Esther Anaya, the rock star. Right. I do like though when you wear those bodysuits, right? The spandex, because then it does remind me, and this is going to bring me to my next little kind of connection correlation, right? I'm kind of just jumping all over the place here, but this is just fun for me. Okay, this is just a fun topic. This is called a little something I call I gotta go with. Okay, this is a new little segment I'm trying out here on the Sketcho Show podcast. I gotta go with Esther Anaya. If you had a chance, let me see where I wrote this. Hold on. Yeah, if you had a chance to star in a horror movie, superhero movie, or romantic comedy, which one would you I gotta go with?
Superhero.
I was going to say
hello.
that. Because you already look like a superhero. When you're in the spandex and the contacts, you look like a character that could be on that
and
Prime.
The braids.
The braids. What's the show called? The Boys on Prime. Amazon Prime. Have you heard of that show?
Yes.
It's
Ben
amazing.
watches it.
Right?
He's obsessed.
I swear, Esther's like a superhero. What were you going to say? Go pass the mic to Ben real quick.
I said I love that show.
Right?
It's one of my favorites.
I haven't seen the new season yet, but I was thinking about this. I was like, I don't know if Esther would be into being
That's
like
my
in a
dream.
horror movie.
Not a horror,
Right.
but my dream
Superhero.
is to be in a superhero movie.
Or a romantic comedy. I could see you in that too.
Yeah, I'm very dramatic.
With Mozart. Right.
And very romantic too.
But you definitely have the superhero appeal about you. Okay, next I gotta go with. This is completely off the EDM topic, okay? We're just gonna go we're going big top 40 and big rap, okay? Here we go. I gotta go with, if you had a chance to collab, violin or produce, with Taylor Swift or Dr. Dre, who would you go with and why?
Yeah, this is Dr. Dre.
Dr. Dre.
And why?
Let them know what it is.
You know what? I love his beats. I've seen him producing on different TV shows that they show him and everything. And I think we can make some really, really dope, sick ass.
Right.
Let's go.
Because he's very symphonic, Dr.
Oh,
Dre.
yeah.
His sound is so symphonic. And when I hear his sound and I hear your violin, you already worked with Snoop. So Dre would just be the obvious next.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But the violin on one of Dre's beats.
Oh, my God.
What?
That is next. Put it out in the universe.
We're gonna will it into existence, for God's sake.
Let's go.
Thomas Gold, how about you, man? If you got a chance to collab, same question: Taylor Swift or Dr. Dre? Who?
Dre as well.
Yeah. Why?
Let's go.
Because I like what Taylor does, but for Dre, I think it would be more like of a creative process, because mixing his kind of style with what we do, what I do, would be crazy.
Yeah.
Have
you ever done any hip hop music in your career?
Not really.
Not really. It's been strictly
But
on
I've
the
always
EDM.
been a fan of these kind of things.
Right.
I love to listen to hip hop.
No, I feel you on that, man. Okay, last one of the I gotta go with. If you had to give up one or the other, violin, DJing, or producing/singing music, which one would you give up, Esther, and why?
That is a hard question.
Finally. Here we go. I stumped you.
And you said how many things was it? Was it producing and singing together?
Yeah, if you had to give up one or the other, in this case, it's three things: violin, DJing, or making music/singing. Those are two are together.
Guys, I would probably give up DJing because I have Thomas.
Nice.
Alrighty.
Good answer. Thomas Gold, what say you? If you had to give up the drums, DJing, or producing your own music, which one would you give up and why?
Maybe the drums.
Wow. Yeah. Why? Because it's
Because I can't live without producing
or DJing.
And DJing has been my passion for all my life, throughout my life. I love to perform live and to put out music and the combination of both, production and DJing is just like what keeps me going.
Do me a favor, Thomas. Go pull that mic up just a little bit up further, higher.
Like
yeah,
this?
yeah, perfect. There
Here
you
we go.
That sounds good. Okay, let me ask you, Thomas Gold. Let's go back a little bit to your introduction into DJing and creating music. How did that all start, sir?
Yeah, I actually started playing keyboards when I was 7. And I think at the age of 11, 12, 13, I became a fan of house music, of Chicago house. That's what I mentioned before. And I got my first vinyl records, Foley Jackmaster
You say
Funk.
Chicago house, which is where house music was created. It was invented there.
Yeah.
Right. Just for the people that are listening that are too young to know that. Go ahead.
That was my first vinyl. And the second was Steve Still Curly, Check Your Body. And then at the age of 15, I started like dreaming of, I want to make this music myself. I want to produce music like that. But
And did you know how? Or?
Yeah, that was the problem. First of all, I didn't have the equipment because I had an electronic organ. You play 2 keyboards and you have a pedal for the bass. You do it with your foot. And this sound doesn't come close to what was on these records. So I started when I was 16, I started collecting electronic music equipment. Like my first synthesizer was a Yamaha DX11. Then I got an amplifier, a drum machine, and all that kind of stuff. And at the same time, I started DJing at friends' parties when I was like 16, 17. I put together like music with 2 record players, turntables. I even had to rent them because I couldn't afford to buy them. And I got my first DJ gig when I was 18 at a local club. And I got fired the same night.
What?
Yeah.
It was that bad, huh?
Yeah, it was that bad. It was actually, it was not fair because he gave us, it was together with a friend of mine, he gave us the 1st of January, which was a dead night after New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Nobody was there and we had to really motivate people and it didn't work out well. And so we asked the owner before we left, so we see you next week. And he was like, no, actually not.
Wow, but you're playing for the tile, like an empty club essentially, and you're trying to hype up like the bartenders and security.
There were a few people, yes. Right. But actually it was a good thing because then I was like, okay, I want to really learn how to do this. I want to read the crowd. So I rented out the turntables, the Technics, the 1210.
Right.
Like a couple of times I produced demo tapes and I gave these demo tapes to the owner of another club, like 10 months later. And he booked me for one night. He said, okay, let's make a test.
He gave you a shot, huh?
He gave me a shot.
Yeah.
It's a Thursday night, but it's a small club, 250 people, but we're always packed. And it was a great night. And I had learned my lessons, I read the crowd. I knew what to expect. I was really prepared. And then I kept this job for 5 years.
Nice.
And that was actually the start of my career.
The
as a
evolution
DJ.
of Thomas Gold, ladies and gentlemen.
And then I took it more serious. During my studies, I kept working at nightclubs to DJ throughout the week to earn some money as well. And with that money, I bought more equipment. So I constantly built on my studio equipment. I was still a bedroom producer. Right. And after my studies, I got an MBA. I decided to work like a normal person, but I really felt like I have to follow my dream. I have this dream. I want to be like
I got to ask you about that, Thomas Gold. Yeah. Did you ever work a regular job? And if so, what was it?
For 2 years.
What did you work as? What did you do?
I worked in the sales and distribution department of a big consumer brand company in Munich. And it was really nice because the people were awesome. I got a lot of money and the career.
But it's like a desk job.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But I got home at night at 7, 8. I sat down on my keyboard. I spent half of my weekends making music, but I couldn't do it both. It was too much. I figured.
Right. You got to give up one. It's called sacrifice. That's what it's
Exactly.
It's sacrifice and risk. You had to sacrifice the day job and take the risk to follow in pursuit of this dream you have.
Exactly.
In regards to, and we're going to get back to Esther, in regards to Thomas Gold, to the DJing, when you first started DJing, was Serato already invented? Were you DJing on Serato?
No. When I started DJing, Serato was not invented.
So you were strictly vinyl.
Yeah, but I quickly changed to CDs because it was the better thing. Yeah, and you could travel with CDs.
Right.
It was way better than with the vinyl cases.
And then in regards to your production on the music program, what music programs do you use to produce and edit on?
I started with Cubase.
Oh yeah.
On a PC.
Yeah.
And then I switched to Logic and Mac, and I've been on Logic for 15 years. And I just switched to Ableton this January 1st.
Yeah.
That was my big goal for this year, to develop myself and my
to
challenge.
merge over, right? Well, congratulations, Ableton's dope, man.
Yeah, and
It's
I'm super
dope.
happy to have done this, but it took me 2-3 months to get acquainted with it, to really.
It's a learning
get
curve.
used to it. But now I'm super happy that I did it.
And you're never going back to Cubase, right? You're officially
not Cubase and not Logic.
you converted, right?
Yeah,
I work on Pro Tools myself, and I used to work on Ableton 8, Live 8. But then I got away from it, and Pro Tools is just my thing now. It's my jam. That's my brand. But with Ableton, is more for creating music, producing music, and Pro Tools is more of a hard recorder. You can produce music on it. A lot of people do, and movie sound design, all that stuff. But when you're actually making beats, I feel like nothing beats Ableton. Esther Anaya, what do you, I see you over there talking to husband Wolf right there. Oh, man, a.k.a. the luckiest man in the world over here, ladies and gentlemen.
Mozart was talking. What
Mozart. The dog is here with us, too. Does Mozart have a little violin himself?
No, but he's a DJ.
Yeah?
He has
that's
his
right.
DJ equipment at home.
He has a little DJ setup?
Yes, he does.
Little turntables?
Yes, he does.
What kind of dog is Mozart? Describe it to the people
He's a
listening.
toy poodle. He's a red toy poodle, 10 pound. Yeah.
How old is Mozart now?
3. Oh my God. And he loves music. He sings and everything.
He sings?
This little guy, yes.
Does he bark like on command? Can you get him to
no.
talk?
No,
he won't do that. He's too loving.
Ben is the only one who could make
Ben,
him
can
do
you
that.
get Mozart to give us a little something on the mic real quick on cue? Is that possible?
He'll probably be pretty shy.
He might be pretty shy. Let's see. Let's give it a try. Let's see. This is a Sketcho Show Mozart podcast Bark exclusive. Put him right up to the mic. Yeah, put him on the counter.
Mozart, you want to talk, Mozart?
Come on.
Mozart,
You want to talk?
say hi. Hi. Meow. You do that. He goes.
He's like, Mom, Dad, you're embarrassing me. Yeah. Okay.
To do that, no?
Yeah. He looked at
Sorry,
you,
come
both of
on.
you like, come on, man, don't
Sorry,
embarrass
guys.
me in front of Sketch, man. This is my guy right here. This is my guy. Do you need to take him out, Ben?
I think he's okay.
Okay. Let me know. So we can pause real quick and I'll let you out just in case you got to walk the dog. Okay. Let's keep going here. Thank you so much for enlightening me on the background of yourself, Thomas Gold, Esther as well, with the I got to go with game. That was fun.
I like that. It's fun.
Let's stay on the topic of music right now, because as much as I want to keep going with the personal and just, life in itself, I do want to get Esther talking and give me some hot takes on some music artists that are popular right now. In a way, this will be for me to have your voice recorded so that later on I may be able to use some of what you say as like drops in my radio imaging. I like your female voice. I love your accent. And I feel like I'd like to hear what you got to say about, for example, let me go to my chart here and see what your takes are on this, okay? I'm just going to name a couple that are big right now. For example, Sabrina Carpenter, one of the biggest artists on planet Earth right now.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on Sabrina Carpenter? Just do me a favor, say Sabrina Carpenter, and then just keep going.
Sabrina Carpenter. Carpenter. That's my accent.
That's fine.
I can't say her last name. But
Sabrina Carpenter.
Carpenter.
Yeah.
Okay. Sabrina Carpenter. Well, you know what? I really, really like her music. She has a beautiful voice, and I feel like now she has everything on point.
Yeah.
Because if you look at her from years ago, she had it, but she didn't have the whole. She needed a little bit of more years because I see her like this. She was on Disney many years, and now I feel like she's a superstar. You know, she knows how to dance. She has a presence. She has a great branding, color palette from head to toe, and you recognize her voice anywhere.
Yeah.
That is when you have a perfect branding strategy on point.
What about Charlie XCX?
Oh,
Huge
she's
right now.
amazing.
What's your take on? Give me the name and then the take. Go ahead.
You know what? How do you say her last name?
Charlie XCX.
Charlie XCX.
Hey, Billy, you there?
So cute when you say it like that.
You know what? I really enjoy her vocals, her music. I think she's very edgy. She's like a 2024. She like connects very well with the Gen Z and the new generation. I think she gets it all together. How like the music of nowadays people really like and enjoy.
Beautiful.
In a full spectrum. Really dope.
You're really dope. Esther Anaya. I can't wait to see your name on this chart right here where it's like, oh, look at this. Esther Anaya's teaming up with Jelly Roll. What the fuck's going on here? Have you ever thought, Esther Anaya, about possibly, or have you done some country, what's known as YEDM? You know about YEDM? I just learned about this term recently. YEDM is EDM, but country. YEDM, like yeehaw.
Do you know that?
Yeah. Are you familiar with this out in Germany there, Mr. Gold? Nope. No country. Are you at all country? Are you a country music fan at all?
I enjoy country music.
Who do you like in the country?
But that's the thing. I do not know that many names, but I could recognize the songs and I just enjoy because country music is so different than what I actually do. And I love the way how people sing and they're so passionate about country music and they tell always a story. And it's just like something that you would want to talk about, but you're singing it. And that is such a big difference. I'm like, oh my God, I could get into the story, the movie right away, but this person is singing it. So cool.
Yeah.
So dynamic. And when you put the violin in country music, it's really dope.
I like Jelly Roll because he's like Post Malone is like hip hop, you know, country, rock. It's like all of these things together.
Post Malone is doing, now that he's doing country music,
Yeah.
he's like in his habitat.
He's in his country era.
Yes.
Like Taylor's in her era, right? What about you, Thomas Gold? Are you familiar with any of these artists in America, like Charlie XCX or who was the other one I just said? I already forgot. Sabrina Carpenter. Right.
Honestly, not really. I'm not following those artists.
Right.
I hear the names.
Are
of
they
course.
big in Germany? Like,
Not yet.
No? Is
I mean,
Taylor Swift-
Taylor is huge. I mean,
what's your take on Taylor Swift? Since you're from Berlin, what's your take on Taylor being from over there?
it's interesting to see how she worked on her career and how she makes it. And I think she's a very she has a very positive attitude,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And she knows how to deal with that. Of course, it's professional.
Yeah.
But all my friends and the kids of my friends, and they're going crazy about her. And we just had a big concert. She did a tour, and then she was in Munich, and
Right.
I saw pictures. It was crazy what was going on there.
I know.
But honestly, I listen to her songs as well when I'm driving the car. I just put on the Spotify playlist, whatever, and it's great music.
It's
the whole product is perfect.
Yeah.
So I respect that a lot, but I know that there has been a lot of work going into this,
my God.
and to build a career like this. So I think it's a good thing. And what you just said, Esther, you're about Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah.
It's a similar thing, I guess.
Yeah.
But it takes so much work and so much dedication and enthusiasm for the person, for the celebrity, for the star,
Yeah.
to get there and to overcome so many obstacles and to stand the pressure and everything.
Yeah, man.
So that's what most people don't see. And being in this industry for a while, I have seen a lot of people like just not making it because of the stress
Right.
and people like freaking out and getting like burnouts at the age of 22,
Yeah.
So
It's the pressure must be tremendous. And I don't know how they do it. I was nervous enough just coming here to do this podcast with you guys. I'm nervous right now. I can't imagine going up and
can't
singing
tell.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm shaking over here. But I mean, to go up every night on a tour and perform in front of that amount of people in stadiums, it's just got to be.
You either hate it or you love it. And I love it. I cannot imagine myself without performing and one day being able to do stadiums on my own.
You're doing stadiums now, though. You're doing SoFi.
Thomas.
Yeah,
but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
But for NFL, you know.
No, that's dope, though. I mean, do you still, real quick, before we move on, the country thing, just to go back in the violin, I heard you say right before we shifted to Post Malone, then we went to Thomas. The country music with violins. I feel like they go, I know mostly there's a lot of acoustic guitar going on, but I do hear and see quite a lot of violins, which is why I wanted to ask you that. Have you ever dabbled at all, like doing like a country song or trying to do a country melody at all?
I haven't tapped into it, but I was actually considering doing The Devil Went Down to Georgia, the violin part. Actually, we discussed and we might be adding it to our repertoire.
Why not?
Bringing the violin part, the most iconic part of it, which is very challenging to do as a violinist.
Yeah.
But I love challenges. So I gotta, I'm on it. And then Thomas producing.
Dope.
And bringing that element into one of our tracks.
Yeah, I want to hear that. I want to hear Esther and I go a little country on a motherfucker real quick. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
Let me ask you, in regards to your violins, Esther and I, do you name your violins, and how many violins do you own?
I have 10 violins, and the ones that I don't use, then I convert them into art pieces.
Really?
Yes.
Do you name your violin?
I used to. Not anymore.
What was your first violin's name?
Martin.
Why Martin?
Because my best friend's name was Martin. It was the easiest.
Makes sense.
I was like, my best friend was Martin. I'm like, Martin too. So I call them both Martin.
Martin, and then there's Mozart. Yeah.
Exactly.
Makes sense. Okay. And what about you? Do you name any of your instruments or your equipment or anything?
Not yet.
Not
Maybe
yet,
I should, yeah.
I know people that name like their cars and shit. And my mom used to call her truck Kevin. That was the truck's name. I don't know why. She liked the name Kevin. It worked.
That is
all right.
hilarious.
Let's see here. Let me go back to my notes because I have so many other little fun topics to get into that aren't completely related to music, but they always somehow lead back to music. This is personal but fun. Esther Anaya, as much as you travel more than the president. Gold, you're on the same plane with her most of the time, I'm sure. Wolf, Mozart, you guys are always traveling all over. Every time I tune into an Instagram, they're in the Bahamas. Now they're in Paris. Now they're over here. Now they're in Alaska. Like what the? Okay, but out of everything that you do you ever just have date night with husband Ben Wolf, also manager extraordinaire? Do you ever go out to the movies on a date night? And if so, what movie do you see? Are we going to go see Joker 2? What's the deal?
Oh my God, I think we should. But I think like probably the last movie we watched was what was the Silent Place, the sequel?
Oh, Quiet Place. Day one. Right.
Close enough.
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And we do actually, because I think part of like being an artist in life is creating those times and balance. Otherwise you get frustrated.
Right.
You burn out.
Right.
So I try to put my family time, my dating time with my husband, my doggy time, my working out, my myself time, wherever I can mix it,
I mean, it seems to me that you're in very good shape. I mean, this is why I say you're like a superhero. And you too, Ben. I mean, both of you are like, you obviously take your vitamins. What is the workout regimen amidst this busy ass schedule that you both live on a daily basis? What is it like? Do you eat healthy? If so, what do you eat? And when do you work out? What do you do?
Oh my God. I drink so much stuff, like from sea moss, and I drink my black seed oil at nighttime. I drink my hyaluronic acid, my multivitamins, Shilajit. Like there's a lot that I put into my body, and I work out. I mean, I do Pilates, I do hot yoga, I weight train. I go to church too, because you need mental training and you need physical training.
And you pray on it.
Yes.
Damn.
A lot. I do a lot.
What's your time in the gym? And when you're working out, how long do you work out for?
At least an hour.
straight, or do you take breaks?
I mean, like I take classes. So hot yoga is a 1 hour straight. Pilates is a 1 hour straight. And when I do my training, I do my repetitions and I take like little breaks, but it's a full hour though.
While you're in yoga, hot yoga, has it ever been to the point where you're working out so hard in hot yoga and stretching and it's hot in there, right? It's like 100 and some degrees.
Yeah.
Have you ever, or has anybody puked? You know,
Nope.
when you work out so hard,
Thank
you
God.
throw up? You know what I mean? And that's never happened. Have you ever witnessed any of that?
No,
Because I feel
I'm
like I
glad.
want to puke all the time when I'm working out. When I go on some of these hikes and it's hot outside and I reach the top and I'm just like, I feel like it's coming. It's
No, but
coming.
I've seen people puked on hikes. Like my best friend, I took her on a hike one time and she like puked
Yeah.
next to me. So, but in these classes, people know what they're getting themselves into. So they know that you're going to come to this class, you could step out or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
It's like, I
There's a
haven't
little
seen that.
bucket out there in the hallway
yeah.
or something. What about this? In regards to hot yoga, I mean, I know this for a fact that when people are doing yoga, especially, I'm assuming, I can only suspect in hot yoga, that people fart unintentionally. This is known. Have you heard any of this go
That's
down?
why they put music. They put like they have a full playlist,
Right? Loud?
and it's loud.
Oh, so you can't hear people go,
You cannot hear anything.
Not in
on
the background?
Hot yoga, no.
really?
And they have really good playlists.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like here and I'm like, they have some good music.
So it covers up the sound, but it doesn't cover up any sense. Have you ever caught a whiff of something
no,
out of
thank
the
God.
ordinary in a
Thank
hot
God,
yoga
no.
class?
Oh my
Really?
God, I would probably leave.
This seems like they're very civilized in this hot yoga class. I got to find out where it's at.
In Manhattan.
Okay, Manhattan, New York. Okay,
Manhattan
not
Beach,
Manhattan Beach.
Manhattan
Oh,
Beach.
okay. It's nearby, not across the country. Thomas Gold, what's the deal with you? And you live in Berlin.
Yes.
You travel back and forth, right? Or how often do you go?
I mean,
from
I
Germany
used to be here like every month, like
Really?
years ago when I had
Damn.
like a couple of years ago, I was traveling a lot. I played a lot of festivals and shows. I was constantly touring. But since I got my kids, I slowed down on this. And so I'm here like 4 to 8 times a year.
Are we thinking about moving to the States and becoming a citizen?
Actually, that was always an idea of myself. Yeah. And we're still thinking of that. But and I used to live here for
Oh, you did?
I used to live here for 3 months and then for 2 months for work, for traveling. I used to live in Manhattan for half a year.
Manhattan, New York, or Manhattan?
Manhattan, New
Beach?
York.
Okay,
Manhattan,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
And I really loved it here. And I mean, I would definitely love to come to live here,
Yeah.
especially in Los Angeles, because it's for the network. It's great. I love the climate. I love the sun when you get up. You know, in Germany the winters are really depressing, and it's starting again right now.
yeah, man.
So October is a dark month, and November, and it goes on until April, May.
Really? It's like almost like how Alaska is dark for 6 months or something like that.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. But the thing is, you know, you wait for the summer, for spring, and it just doesn't happen. Normally, it's supposed to be better, the weather,
Right.
in March, but it just didn't happen the last year. So, and when we were here, it was like you get up in the morning, sun is shining.
Yeah.
You're a different person, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I lived in Miami for about 6 months when I was in my 20s. Now, I loved Miami. Women are gorgeous.
Oh, yes.
Right? But the problem is I'm invisible. I'm invisible to every woman. Evidently, nobody can see me. I have my invisibility cloak on, especially in Miami. However, the mountains, the lack of mountain, there is no mountains. It's just flat. And that really got me. They have mountains in Germany. They have mountains,
we do have.
right? The mountains in LA, in the West Coast, they really make a difference. You could tell where you're at all times. You know which way you're headed. And when you're in Miami, you don't know which way you're going. This is before Waze and MapQuest and all that shit. I mean, I didn't know where. I would just get lost and then refound again. But in Germany, Thomas Gold, do they, like I asked Esther, do they celebrate Halloween and all that stuff? Do they have the holidays like we do? And what's it like over there? Halloween time.
It's picking up because when I was young, there wasn't a Halloween at all, and then it started being there, but we didn't have the trick or treat thing. We didn't
Really?
have the supermarkets full of sweets. Like it's crazy to see that here, you know. and also the costumes. We didn't have the costumes.
What
and
did they have? What did they do?
I would say like 10 years ago, there was like, for example, in a city like Düsseldorf, there was a lot going on during Halloween, but in Munich, for example, nothing was going on. And the people, you can't go from door to door and ring the bells. People look at you like you're crazy or whatever. They don't even open the door. They
That's
just, you see people switch out the lights to hide from the kids. But now it's really trending, I would say.
It's upcharting.
Since a couple of years, and all the kids are going crazy about like what costumes will I wear, how can we get all these treats, you know, and you see them walking around during Halloween. So it's getting there, but not as... we spent Halloween last year here in Miami, and we bought costumes. And
what were you? What did you
I was a werewolf.
Oh,
It was really nice.
You're a German wolf, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Almost related to Ben Wolf over here, right? Now, let me ask you, did you dress, obviously, because you have kids, they're dressing up for Halloween, or are they older now, past that?
We dress all together. I went as Batman and the werewolf, and we go from door to door, and that's when we saw like people switch the lights.
Well, that's probably better, because knowing if it was out here, and let's say the tables were reversed, and we didn't have Halloween out here, and it started trending, people out here would just start shooting at you. You know what I mean? Like knocking on their door, your lights would go out. That would be the problem. Man, wow, that is fascinating. That Halloween is not a thing until recently in Germany.
The point where you could tell that this is becoming relevant for the industry is when, you know, brand Milka, the chocolate brand?
Yes.
When they started making special Halloween editions of their chocolate. Once they started doing this, you could see, okay, this is going to be like something that's interesting for the industry. They start selling these things, and it really was like, we were also surprised. Oh, this is happening, like Milka and
it's
not like here.
It's a thing. It's becoming a thing, but it's not like here. It probably won't ever be as big as it. I mean, Halloween in the States lasts for a month, probably like 2 months. It starts at the end of August now. I remember when Halloween started in October. Now it starts right at the end of summer, and they're selling candy and all that shit in the supermarkets and stuff. It's so wild, man. Esther Anaya, real quick, just to go back to you and your married life, work life. And managing the two, but you're married to your manager, Ben Wolf, which, by the way, was the Sketcho Show podcast exclusive last time you were on. Mm-hmm. You hadn't revealed that to him. I mean, some people knew that you were married, but you hadn't told anybody. Now, it's obviously out there. I see you celebrating your anniversary. Congratulations, by the way, and all that. Ben Wolf, your manager and husband, has Ben Wolf ever had an interest, and Ben, you could jump in on this if you want, to get into DJing or get into the musical aspect as well, because he's sitting on the sidelines, he's coordinating, which is a job in itself. But I mean, sometimes when you're feeling the vibe, does Ben, do you want to get into DJing? I figured DJ Ben Wolf would be the move, man. I mean, look at that name. It's already
DJ Wolf, right?
DJ Wolf, but Ben Wolf, not even DJ in front of it. Ben Wolf sounds either like an author of books or an EDM DJ in Vegas.
No, you know what? I love the music. I love the music that Esther creates, and I love house music in general.
Yeah.
So be fun to do it as a hobby, to kind of learn it as a hobby, just to have fun with it. Mm-hmm. But I leave the professional artistic traits to Esther, to Thomas. They're core musicians. Mm-hmm. I can't hold a beat. I'm not a musician by trait.
You're not musically inclined.
Yeah, but I love the music.
Right.
So we all have our different roles. I also enjoy business. So
you're on the business lane. You stay in that lane.
It's fun for me.
Right.
Know? As long as I get to go to the shows, have a good time, vibe with the music, see the fruits of the labors.
Yeah.
I'm good.
It's a good feeling, right? I mean, you two have manufactured something quite extraordinary together. And that is the franchise of Esther Anaya. You know what I mean? Because it's a team that, and really, besides Ben and Gold here, who is like your team that's behind you that helps you in your process with all this?
Yeah, so I have the Alsona Media Group, and they're like they do all my music videos, everything you see on social media that I post, they edit everything. And so they're like behind kind of like the branding of all my videos.
Right.
And, and I have a PRs that I work with, mm-hmm. and they help me with all the, all the public relationships and stuff. And I probably say my vocal coach is very important in my day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she was the one who literally like trained me, so I was able to kind of like sing without being fearful of myself. And you know, it takes a village. I mean, like, and I could keep naming because everybody's so important, you know, even family and friends, because I need the support of my friends as well. Like, we just had a show yesterday and I had some really good friends that showed up and it showed the support to the first time Anaya and Go doing a boiler room session at Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and it was amazing. We had a great amount of people, and you know, it's a village.
Yeah. Is there any time that you just want to step back and not do any of it? Not saying you want to give it up, but just, is there any time that comes, Esther, where you're just like, man, I've had enough, Ben?
I've had moments like that,
Right.
definitely, many times. And I have wanted to quit and leave everything, doubt myself, thought I was not good enough. Why am I not in the biggest stages of the world right now? What am I doing wrong?
Right.
What is it that people are not coming in like, you know, I don't have a hit song. Why is it so? It's so many
Right.
questions.
Right.
But I think, like, you know, it's a process, and that's like the thing that I need to enjoy, because it is gonna come if I don't stop.
Right. You have to
That's
keep doing it.
rule of
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
I don't know when it will come, but if I'm focusing on the whys, I'm never gonna be able to create what it needs to be created. So I'm trying to detach to, like, why is not this happening? Why is not? And just focus on growing and just giving the best of myself. And every day, just like walking away from a session or from practice and saying, like, you know what? This is the best I could have done at this moment. And it's just going to be worth it.
Gold, Thomas, can you pull that mic up? What about you, man? How's when it comes down to, like we talked earlier in the pod, the pressure?
Yeah.
You're under pressure. Now that I know that you're a family man as well, that's pressure as well. You know, like, not having kids versus having kids is a whole different kind of pressure. How do you maintain this career and maintain being a family, being dad?
Yeah, this is a good question, and I've been thinking about this a lot, really, in the past couple of years, especially when my kids came, and that changed everything. But what Esther just said, that you go through these phases where you think, is it all worth it? Is it why I'm not there? You're chasing a career, you know, and I've been
Right.
doing this, like when I played Tomorrowland, when I played Las Vegas, EDC, I was on the main stage, but then the next year I was like, why didn't they book me
Right.
again? Why is this, you look at the lineups and why is the name on top of me, and where all this kind of like,
Right.
and you talk to other artists and they all have the same kind of shit going on, and these thoughts, and it's very destructive, and it can actually destroy you. And I've seen people suffering that, and look at Avicii, what happened to him, and
Right, man.
it's because of the pressure. But I started thinking about, am I really happy with the way I'm living my life? It was like 10 years ago, and I wanted to be happy, you know? I was like, okay, this is what I can do. This is what my part here, and I can do so much. And sometimes you have to admit the world is not fair. There are people who have, let's name it success, more success than you, but what really is success? Are you happy with your life? That's the
Right.
point. I've asked a couple of people who were very successful, are you actually happy? And it took them a long time to respond with a no at the end, because then they started thinking, because this could be better and this could be better. So I was like, oh no, I don't want to be like this. I want to be happy with my life. I want to balance it out. And when my kids came, that was the point where I was like, okay, this is my new priority in life. I want to be happy. I want to be a good father. I want to be a good family guy. That's where I'm here. That's why I'm on this planet. And my musical career is a nice thing. I can live my passion, but I should be happy with what I'm doing. And this is always when I get into these like phases, or like a mood of frustration, or why is this not happening so fast, or this could be better. I'm like, okay, be happy with what you have, and it's
Right.
not too bad at all. And you are healthy, you have a good family, you have a lot of friends,
You're
you know, and this
talented,
is
right?
what you just said, Esther. The friends are a big part of the whole team. They ground you, they keep your feet on the ground, you know. And even if the career doesn't go as you might wish it should go, there's other things in life as well. You shouldn't focus too much on that and let the the career or the business destroy your life. So this is what I keep reminding myself, and this really helps me to stay focused, to be happy. And of course, I have ups and downs. And when COVID came, it all crashed us,
man.
And we got through this. And this is like building resilience as well. I really learned to build resilience and to know that there's the next good thing is coming.
Yeah,
you just got to keep going.
You got to keep going, man.
Don't think like it's over. And I never thought about quitting my job or the industry, like leaving the industry. I was like, I'm gonna fight my way, and I find my place. And I think finally, after like years of thinking, I found it, and I'm really cool with that. You know,
you're content with that.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, man. You said it so eloquently, Thomas Gold, and I'll be listening to this back again just for my own little motivation, because I'm always in a dumpster fire at home, because I'm just like, what am I doing? Why am I still doing this? Should I keep doing this? Fuck! Like, I'm not even gonna lie. By the time I'm finishing editing this podcast, I would have gotten upset and pissed off at myself, at whatever, multiple times, because that's just my process. I'm just like, no, fuck that. That shit is whack. Or the computer pauses, or there's like a little glitch or something. I'm just like, fuck my life. And I'll go for a hike, and I'll come back renewed, and I'm like, okay. But I don't know what it is. I'm like a mad scientist. I get it. Do you guys ever get upset in the studio? Not at each other per se, but just what things irk you when you're in the studio, in the creative, full steam creative process? What gets under your skin, Esther and Anaya?
Oh my God. When I am writing a song and I just like cannot come up with like the right lines, I get frustrated, and like I have to like take a step back and be like, what is going on with me?
Right.
Or like when I'm like making a set and I'm trying to do like certain type of like mixes and mashups, and if I'm not finding the right ones, I might get frustrated, but I stop, I walk away. It's normal.
Right. You walk away. What do you do?
Yeah.
Do you walk away? You take a walk? You walk
I just
Mozart?
stop for a second. I just like take a breather, and I'm like, it's okay, and then let me just take a break, because that frustration just comes from, I need to stop. So then I just take my stop and then come back, and then I get it right. It's part of life.
No. I get, like I said, I'm always upset about something technical or production related, or someone else not sending me audio that I need to edit in order to get this project done. I'm like, well, all you got to do is send it to me, man. Just send it to me, raw file, and I'll edit it. It's the easiest thing in the world. And yet, it's the hardest thing in the world, especially when you have to rely on somebody else to get the job done and they're not coming through. Woo! Super frustrating. How about you, Thomas Gold? What gets under your skin in the creative process?
Yeah, when I do things in my studio and I'm really hyped about it and I'm getting excited, and the next day I listen back to it and I'm like, what the hell have you done? Why have you spent 4 hours on that crap?
Really?
Really. But what I do is I leave the situation, I go for a run, which helps a lot.
Yeah.
Just leave. Get out of the studio.
Right.
I mean, even in my private life, when I'm getting mad or when I get angry at things, I try to take a step back.
Yeah.
Because instead of like trying to fix it in that moment, and okay, I'm gonna do this again.
Right.
You get even more deeper into that, and your mood doesn't get better. So you need to take a breather, or you need to. Or I go for a workout.
Yeah.
And this really helps to get your brain free and to get back to work with new energy. And the next day you look at things totally different.
Yeah, fresh eyes, fresh ears. And when you start grinding yourself too hard in the same repetitive, whatever part sequence of the song you're working on, and everything starts to sound the same. You notice that? After a few hours, you're like, I can't even tell if this is good or not. And then you'll come back and you're like, yeah, that shit was dope, or that shit was whack. Let's start over. I'm sure there's been plenty of times where you've probably wiped an entire project that you started. Maybe both of you together or separately. I know I've started something that's taken me hours, and then I'm like, I'll come back like you after a workout, and I'm like, what the am I drunk? I don't even drink anymore. How did this come out? Yeah, so I get that, man.
But that's part of the creative process.
It is.
That you're ready to start from scratch again.
Right. You have to start over, and be honest, the creative process is a process in itself. It's the work before the actual work. The creative process of just coming up with something to go off. Now, Esther, when you're creating a melody, do you just, like, I heard Billie Eilish on an interview with Howard Stern talk about the creative process of coming up with a melody. Melodies seem to be one of the toughest things to come up with if it's not just already in your head or it doesn't come to you naturally. And Billie Eilish said that she comes up with a melody kind of like by doing this. They'll play a beat or a piano or whatever, and then she'll be like it's kind of just gibberish. How do you come up with a melody, Esther?
Well, I usually either I do it like that with my voice, or I grab the violin and create the melody with the violin where my fingers feel running to. And then just let it until I create something that I could be loopable, that if I play it and play and play it many times, does it sound right? And then I do it by sections. This melody, and then the sequence B, the sequence C. And then that's how I come up with, the chorus and all this stuff. Yeah.
Just to go back to why am I still here and why haven't I excelled? I know that all it takes, especially in this country, is one track. You've already had multiple big tracks. I mean, the track with Snoop Dogg was pretty massive, right?
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying to get at that top, like Sabrina Carpenter, or even let's go EDM artists. Let's say, who do we got? Who's
John
like
Summit right now?
Yeah, who's like a big EDM artist, like David Guetta, who like all of a sudden is back on the charts, right? He does a remix of a song. It's like, what the hell? He's like number 5. Then he disappears for like 5 years, and then another song comes out. But it just takes that one track to get onto the charts.
Yeah.
What song are you trying to push to get onto those charts?
I think that it comes naturally. When you try to push it, it's not going to happen.
It doesn't work. It's like trying to go viral. It doesn't. You can't make a viral video go viral. It just happens.
And
right?
I have zero expectations. I'm just creating and having fun and enjoying it and making sure. But I do believe, like how people say, when you find love, you find it the way you never expected. Yeah. And that's what happens with a hit song. It is going to happen when you least expect it. And with the song that you might not even think is going to hit. So I do believe in that. And I think that you just have to create and keep creating and put your music out there. And one of them is going to hit.
Thomas, any thoughts?
Same here. And if you look at how many producers are out there in the world trying to make that hit, and many of them are very powerful. They have a lot of money, they have big studios, they have network, and they still don't get that hit. So you can't buy it.
Right.
I mean, if you're David Guetta, you can invest a lot of money into writing sessions, of course, and then you just pick the one you want to choose. Or if you're like Calvin Harris and you have so much talent, but this is extraordinary. That's not normal.
Right.
But people like us, and I know many people in the industry as well, they know about that. You cannot just plan a hit. It just happens. There's a couple of circumstances. You have to be at the right spot at the right time, and it just has to happen. Maybe some influential people pick up your track,
right,
and it goes viral, or it gets played by radio stations more and more. So there's a dynamic behind that as well, which you cannot influence in the beginning. I would say it happens or it doesn't happen, but just trying to chase that one hit and sitting in the studio and to write a session, and is this going to be a hit or no? It doesn't make sense, You just put out what you feel, and if you're lucky, and we want to put out a high quality. That's what we're looking at. It should be like really standing the test. And if we play to a couple of people, if 3 or 5 out of 5 people tell us, or you see the reaction is not that great, you might go back to the studio and try something else. But if you're really convinced of what you're doing, that's the first part of it, and then you just keep doing it.
I think the lesson of this podcast is the one thing that I'm taking away is you have to keep going, and whatever your craft is, you have to keep at it and grinding. And of course, you take your break, you come back, and you keep grinding. No matter how low you get and how depressed or upset, you got to just keep trying. That's the whole point. And I feel like working out is, for me, I just started working out in the gym here in the building next to the station, right? And ever since I did that, it was at the end of August. And I've worked out before, and I've been part of a gym before, but I just truly feel that when you wring out the wet rag, it's like you reboot the system. It's almost like taking a nap. When you wake up, you feel like, man, that was a good snooze. I feel refreshed. That workout, there's something about it. And it doesn't have to be hot yoga or intense It just has to be a little something where your endorphins are going, and all of a sudden, I feel better. And I'd like to keep going with that. Okay, let's switch gears here before I let you guys go. Couple more things. One is, since both of you are not from here, but are here now, and have been in this country for a number of years, what do our politics, especially right now, and I don't really like to get into politics, but this is a crazy election happening. And I know you're aware of it. Thomas Gold, let's start with you. Since you're from Berlin, Germany, what do the German people think of us and this fucking election? Please. I think that says it all right there. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's weird to see what's happening, in this country. Even what went on a couple of years ago with the elections, and what happened then, and how wrong it went at the end, and what happened to the economy. Yeah. It's sad to see that, but I mean, we're not doing better actually with our political system in Germany. It's on a smaller scale, and it's maybe not that much about media and all the stuff. It's more like German way,
Right.
But still, it's not very effective. What's happening?
Do they get nasty with each other like how we do here?
No. It's not that. The craziness is not there. It's very like
it's civilized.
Yeah, exactly. At least they try to, but
like the candidates aren't like name calling each other the way Trump's like, Kamala, Comrade Kamala, Kamala, and he makes up different names. Like they don't do that over there. They don't do really, snaps and bag on each other and shit, right? What about you, Esther? What's your take on the election happening right now?
God.
Not saying you have to tell us who you're going for or who you think is the better candidate, just in general.
I have so much going on in my life that I try to avoid thinking about politics.
Yeah.
Because it stresses me out.
Oh,
and you know what? It's not going to make any difference the way how I think. So it is not going to affect me in a way as a personal level, because it's affecting the whole country and the decision making is not in my hands.
Right.
All I could do is just focus on myself. That's it.
Maybe write a song about it. Right?
Exactly. Eating the cats, eating the dogs.
Okay. Last thing. Oh my God. Woo! That was the hit right there. Ladies and gentlemen, the comedy stylings of Esther Anaya. Okay.
They're eating the dogs.
In your native tongues, we'll start with Esther. Can you give me like a little something, some words of encouragement?
Oh. En español, claro. Bueno, que todo lo que hagan y todo lo que quisieran hacer en su vida, encomiéndenselo a Dios en sus manos, depositen su confianza y esperen porque todo se da.
Thomas Gold, the man from Berlin, Germany. I love the German language, by the way. It's such a cool, stern language. It's like you know what the fuck you're listening to when you hear it. Go ahead.
So what do you want to hear?
Just something motivating, some words of encouragement all the way from Berlin, Germany.
Ja, erstmal bin ich super dankbar, dass ich hier sein kann, und ich wünsche allen, die das hier hören, viel Energie, viel Glück im Leben und bleibt immer positiv. Und was ich vorhin schon auf Englisch gesagt habe, es gibt immer einen neuen Weg, bleibt immer eurem Schicksal gewogen und gebt nicht auf, und am Ende geht's immer irgendwie weiter.
Damn, that's dope. Woo! Okay, can you tell us what you said in English, please? Yeah, and then you too, Esther.
I just said, like, first of all, I was like thankful to have the opportunity to be here and to be visiting this country and to be sitting here with you guys. And then I said, like, that it's most important for you guys to stay positive and move forward with what you're doing and keep the good spirit.
Beautiful. Esther?
So I said that everything you want to do in life, put it in God's hands and do your part, that it would happen.
And do hot yoga.
If you can handle it.
Yeah, I know I can. I'd be out of there in the first 5 minutes.
I love sweating. It's the only way I could sweat.
Same. I like sweating. I like the that when you get a hard workout in, right? And you, not saying I enjoy the smell of my own BO, because I really don't have any. Look at me. I'm like a paper thin wafer over here. I barely sweat, but when I do, I sweat profusely. And when I sweat profusely, after a workout and I'm walking home, I'm like about to hit the shower, put the clothes in the laundry, I get that sense of like sweat and salt coming out of your pores. I love that.
Me too.
I love it. Not saying I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm not like, it's not fetish or anything. It's just more of like, I feel like the fruits of my labor are now very apparent. And then I sit down, watch a little Netflix, and I'm like, man, I feel better. You know what I'm saying? Ben Wolf, how about you, man? Go ahead. Give us some words of encouragement on your way out. Ben Wolf, ladies and gentlemen, manager extraordinaire.
Yeah, I think it's always great in whatever you're doing to keep a positive attitude. You know, just drive forward in what your conviction is, and really know that the hard work pays off. Everything you do in life takes hard work, but you can see the fruits of those labors, you know, by not quitting, by persevering, and by keeping a good attitude throughout. That was in English because, unfortunately, that's my only language.
Can you translate that in? Can you translate that
to a different language?
Yeah.
He's a gringo.
Oh well, gringos are the best. You know, they know how to hold it down for the Colombians, right? Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Esther Anaya Thomas Gold, Ben Wolf, and Mozart the dog. Any last words, any last thoughts on your way out, Esther Anaya?
Thank you so much for having us. We had a great time. As usual, it's always great just to hang out with you and have this chit chats that get very creative and just like take my mind off.
Muchos gracias, Esther. How's that good? Is that all right? Perfecto. Thomas Gold, I really appreciate you coming through as well with Esther and making your debut on the podcast. Real quick, when was the last time you did a podcast?
That was the first time.
This is the first time?
Yeah.
Are you serious? No.
In this length, yes, it was.
Wow. So
I mean, I've done shorter ones, like 10, 15 minutes.
Right,
but
no, we go for the whole 9 yards here on the Sketch Show.
It was really great,
podcast.
man. I enjoyed it.
Hey, man, I can keep going, but I know you have things to do. You have to go feed Mozart. We got to take Mozart out. We got to do some pictures and a quick video for TikTok and whatnot. Real quick, before I wrap up, when you talked about Thomas Gold, about like how songs will go get big, right? When they get big, when we were talking about songs taking forever. What I notice about social media and TikTok, for example, is a lot of songs that may have come out decades ago will suddenly be back on the charts or finally make it to the charts because of the influencer and Gen Z on TikTok using these songs. Sometimes they're sped up ×2 and they sound all Mickey Mouse and shit, but they put them back on the charts. So it may take a while, but I feel like you guys keep going, and one day we're going to get that big track or that big collaboration.
We'll celebrate here.
Say it again.
We'll come celebrate here.
All right. I got it on recording. We got it on recording, ladies and gentlemen. The Sketcho Show podcast wants to thank Esther Anaya, Thomas Gold, Ben Wolf, and Mozart for making it happen 2 times.
Woo!
Thank you, guys.
Yay! That was awesome.
Oh, good for you. And how was it?
The Sketch-O-Matic Show.
Hey, too much information and shit, man.
Shut your mouth, essay.
Okay, bye.
Violin, DJing, or making music /singing. Those are 2 are together.
Guys, I would probably give up DJing because I have Thomas.
Nice.
Alrighty.
Good answer.